be like, made the itch and stuff whenever I first did it. It used to make the itch and it was bad. And that was just good. And now it's effective.
All right, so checking accounts. A lot of people don't even bother to use checks anymore, and that's probably sort of a good thing as far as you go to a store somewhere and you got to stand behind somebody who's writing a check because it gets sort of annoying because it takes forever for them to write a check, and it used to be, and you guys probably aren't even old enough to know any of this stuff. Used to be if you were standing in line behind somebody who had to write a check, they have to approve the check and go through all this stuff, and it's a pain in the butt.
Really gets handed some cash.
And, right, and it takes forever. Right now, everybody has, instead of using checks, they have a debit card. All right, which is sort of the same thing as a check. And a lot of times now, if you're standing in line and somebody's using a debit card, I know I go through, like whenever I go into Walmart, sometimes it doesn't seem to happen at most other stores, but Walmart, especially where I live at, because I live over in between Middletown and Dayton. So I go to the Dayton Walmart a lot. I go to the Middletown Walmart a lot. Well, there's a lot of people in those areas that maybe aren't as honest as they could be, and maybe aren't as frugal as they should be with their money. So when they're standing there in line and they're running their credit card or running their bank card over and over and over again, trying to get it to run because it's being declined. So a little better now, huh?
You don't have to go to that Walmart either.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, see, that's, I don't know if it's the one in Middletown and the one in Franklin also.
You drive this far or that far to get here?
It's not really that far. Just seems like it because most of you guys never go out of Preble County.
My dad drives Franklin. My dad drives all over. Pretty much he drives all over.
Pretty awesome.
Must have I drove he drives all the way to Cincinnati.
But if you go to one of these, you go to these places and you'll see these people, number one, they try to run scams on Walmart because Walmart's not real. Some of the people who work there aren't always the quickest to catch on. Especially, like I said, the Middletown store is really, really bad about it. I see people in there and they'll, I don't know how they do it. They buy like a whole bunch of, one of the things I've seen is adult diapers. They buy, and I mean they'll buy like 30 packs of them, all that Walmart has on the shelf.
Are they young?
Middle age. And then you'll see them bring them all back. And I'm not sure what scam they're running, but you know there's something.
They're trying to get out of it.
There's something going on there. It's something that's not right. Like they get, maybe they have some coupon or something for them, and then they bring them back and they're getting the full price out of them, or I don't know. But I see them all the time, and with not credit cards, but with checking account cards, with your ATM cards and stuff. I see them trying to do something with that all the time too, where they, that, all right, you knew you didn't have, you see somebody that's got a cart that's packed full and they got like $400 worth of stuff, and they're trying to run their ATM card and it's not working well. Something's not right there because you knew you didn't have that money in that account before you ever got here, so trying to pull something. But you don't, you go to the Eaton Walmart, you don't see that stuff. You don't see it. It's more in the cities. But what we're going to cover today, and I pass these out, look at this side. I think I passed them out to you upside down. This is the side we want to look at. We're going to talk about deposits. So a deposit is a check or currency or coins put into a banking account, savings, and loan, credit union, brokerage. So a deposit is just any money you put into a bank or whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bank. There's a lot of other places that you can put money into, but it's a deposit. Direct deposit. A lot of companies now, you'll never ever, probably by the time you guys are out of school, you'll never see an actual check. Like you know, on a Friday, they can walk around and hand you out your checks. You'll probably never see that. Because most companies now have gone to where they can just direct deposit it because it's cheaper for them rather than printing out an actual check. Because they just do it all on the computer, then they don't have to print anything. So it's a whole lot cheaper. They save money. Hopefully the money that those companies save goes to paying their employees and stuff. So it might go into your next raise or whatever, but that's what a direct deposit is, something that's electronically done. So you'll see a lot more electronic deposits or direct deposits than people who actually have a check. The jobs that any of you guys have, do you actually get a check?
One
do,
time
Bree?
I did, yeah.
You did once, and then they
Because
switched it?
The
Or?
direct deposit was like messed
Messed
up,
up.
and nobody's would go in, so they had to give us all checks.
Where do you work at, Bree, that you still get a check? MCL, they still pass out checks to everybody? A lot of companies here a couple years ago went to the fact, the school here it's been 10 years ago, wanted you to go to direct deposit, and then about 2 or 3 years ago, there were still a few people who weren't direct deposit, and they finally said, no, either you get an account where we can direct deposit this, or you're not getting a check. So,
Jamie still gets a check.
huh?
Pretty sure Jamie still gets a check.
He still gets a check?
He said he last year did.
Really?
Yeah, he talked about it last year.
I swear I thought they made everybody switch over.
So he said.
Maybe he does too. I
It's
don't know.
just so much easier when it goes into here.
Now, the bad thing with something like direct deposit, since my wife pays a lot of our bills, she takes care of a lot of that, and I don't see it, and she does a lot of it online, pays the bills electronically. I never really know what's going on with our bank account. So if something screws up, and I haven't been paying attention, which I usually don't, I'm not gonna know it till it's probably way too late. And, you know, somebody's hacked into the bank account and done something to it, and I'm not gonna have a clue until it's way past time that I should have known. Because it all just is done electronically.
Yours doesn't give you warnings and stuff.
Do what?
Yours doesn't give you warnings and stuff.
It probably does. That's something more, you know, that they're getting more and more into. I know there's been probably 3 times since I've been married. Once about 15 years ago, I think it was a credit card. One of our credit cards got, actually they stole they like took our identity because they had 2 or 3 different accounts of ours. And they warned us pretty quickly, fairly quickly, but the people had already spent like $30,000 or $40,000. So, you know, it was only a couple days. They just spent it that quick. Here not too long ago, seems like our bank account, so my ATM card got hit, but they warned us about that fairly quickly. My wife found out about it fairly quickly, they told her. And it was something where our checking account was being used by somebody in like Oklahoma or something. And so it came up and they called us and said, "Were you in Oklahoma yesterday?" My wife said, "No." "Oh, well, your check card was." So
How does that happen?
somehow they got it. I know one of my friends, they just went, where'd they go? They went to Italy or somewhere.
Lost their card out there or something.
They didn't lose it, but they were using their check card, you know, at gas stations and stuff. And you hear about
Oh, yeah.
these
the
gas
scanners.
stations, they put those little scanners
They
somehow
still
in
do
there.
that.
Yeah.
I always check for that.
You gotta watch that.
So,
Wait, how do you know? In Florida?
no, you yank on the little thing.
Yeah.
But
That's like my
some of the new
favorite.
ones that they said are like going
Yeah,
completely
like-
inside or something, and you can't tell
Yeah,
them.
just caps like over time. That's what I used to think.
Yeah. But apparently I think they took a boat from here to Italy. But they actually took off from Florida. Well, they went down to Florida, and he likes to go to the casinos. So they went to the casino, and he went to get cash, and they had one of those scanners on the ATM at the casino. And so by the time he got to Italy, somebody had spent like $20,000 out of their bank account.
They have that much money?
Yeah. He's retired.
Italy stuff.
So-
So, we stand.
So
Well, my
he had a
grandma's
bunch
not
of
rich,
money.
and she's in Australia for 2 months, because that's like where she's from.
See, and that's what they were going there, because that's where his wife is from, is Italy. So he got back and he was all mad because
Do you get that money back?
I think he got most of it back, but he did end up losing some.
Yeah, you probably never get a hold of
Why
that.
don't you like a shirt or something about that?
It depends on the account.
That's what I mean.
You gotta make sure that, you know, you have the right account, because I'm sure that there's some banks and stuff out there that would say, oh, well, sorry, we don't know what to tell you, but it's not here, we're not gonna pay it back. A lot of credit cards will just waive it. You know, if you can sort of prove that, hey, I wasn't in Oklahoma yesterday, that couldn't have been me spending that money, then they can sort of just waive it and not charge anybody for it. But I'm not sure I think the credit card waives that money, but then they probably go back and talk to wherever the store is or whatever they spent the money on. And they probably say, we're not paying you this, because these people, you know, you should have checked better. And then the store's gotta somehow come up with it. Well, the bad thing with that, you know, it's nice for me, but then next time I go to Walmart and their prices are raised up because they lost this amount of money over stuff being stolen or, you know, phony stuff. So it's all sort of a real bad circle, even though he didn't lose all $20,000 or whatever. Well, somebody's gonna lose it, and then it's gonna come right back to us at some point. Does anybody know what an automated teller machine is?
ATM.
ATM, I didn't think any of you guys would know that. Don't look at me like that, Dakota. You didn't know what it was. No, you didn't. So if I would have put on that last test, what's ATM stand for? You would have known. All right. So you have an ATM, automated teller machine. You can do basic banking stuff, and even now it's not so much basic anymore. You can do a whole lot of stuff through it.
Yeah, Chase, you can like put checks in, deposit how much money you need, and take out how much money you need.
You can do a lot of stuff just through there now.
The other day, I drew money out of the ATM with my work, and they weren't gonna give me my money, so I drew out $80, and it ripped me off $40. And they weren't believing me at first. I thought maybe I was lying, but then she took apart the machine, and 220s were stuck in there. So, yeah, I was mad though, because I thought they weren't gonna give it to me.
Usually that happens when I worked at the convenience store all those years. Probably over the time I worked there was probably 15 or 20 people who said that they got ripped off by the ATM, and most of them were telling the truth.
But you never know, because someone can hide it and be like, yo, the ATM
Yeah.
is shorted.
Look, I tried to draw $200 out over there, because, you know, if you got some just Joe working at the cash register at a convenience store, what they think is, Well, he's just gonna give me, it only gave me $100. That's, I had somebody do this to me. It only gave me $100 and I wanted $200. And I said, well, hold on a minute, I'll call the ATM guy and he'll be in here. So it's gonna take a little while, cause it'll take him a half hour or so to get here. And, if you want, I can write down your name and the time and everything, and you can stop back in tomorrow and look, and get the money if it did that. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. Well, you could give me the money out of the cash register. I said, no, I ain't doing that. So I'm sorry, but that money would come out of my pocket. And so you'd write down the guy's name and stuff, and then they'd never show back up again. And of course, it's probably some phony name. They just made up some name and know if they were lying to you or not. And like you said, the ATM guy would get there, and there's inside the machine, it keeps track of what the transactions are. So if I tell them, hey, at 11:05, this guy said he tried to get $200 and only gave him out $100. What's your machine say? And we still had some of the people. I mean, there was one person I remember. He tried to get out, I think it was like $200, and he said it only gave him $100, and the machine said it gave him $200. And so when the ATM guy got there, I mean, they were going at it pretty good because the guy was sticking to his story. Now, whether he was lying or not, I have no clue.
Did you get the money?
See, they thought, it said that it gave me my $80 too, but like then when she opened it up, took everything out, there was just 2 bills like stuck in the thing.
So if it gets stuck, then that's something you can tell.
Yeah, 'cause it still went through, it just
Yeah.
didn't come out of it.
But see, this guy, there wasn't no money stuck in there.
Yeah.
And it said on the computer inside the machine that it gave him the $200, and the machine wasn't empty. It still had money in it, so it wasn't like it ran out of money. So they had a big argument, and I remember the guy saying, well, I'm going to get the cops right now.
I'm gonna get the cop.
And he came back with the cops and stuff. So if he was lying, he was sure sticking to his story pretty
Did he still
tight.
get his money?
I have no idea whatever happened because then it was between him and the ATM guy.
Yeah.
Because all you do, most of these ATMs you see around in different places, that's one person that owns it,
Yeah.
and they just set them in different places. So it's almost like a vending machine. They rent them out, and they go into Walmart and they say, hey, can we put an ATM in here? And Walmart either says yeah or no or whatever.
Just like there's certain places I can go on my prepaid card where it won't charge me at all.
Right.
Like it says I don't know if it's the company names of the ATMs or what, but like on the back of my card. I don't know.
So there's certain, like mine's just U.S. Bank. The only places I can go are U.S. banks where they don't charge me. Everywhere else wants to charge me.
I found mine like random places like at CVS before.
So
Walmart,
yours-
so like it could be
Yours
anywhere.
is probably a pretty good card because that certain bank is sort of in business with these other companies, and they're saying, okay, we'll let you go. And that's let's see, what kind of card was it? They've done away with them mostly now. There used to one of the first ATM cards, because my father-in-law had one for a long time. I can't remember what they were called, but they had their own machines. Like the green machine.
Green.
If you ever seen one of those green machines around, well, that was a card that was a machine that used a lot of different banks and put them all together and said, okay, if you're in one of these banks, then we won't charge you, but everybody else we're going to charge. Your personal identification number, your PIN number. Here, I'm going to write my PIN number up here for you, all right?
Alright, cool.
Make sure, don't give anybody your PIN number. So even if they get your card, if I was to lose my card tonight, they can't do a whole lot with it because
Run as credit.
they don't have the PIN card. They could try to run it as credit. That's true. And most cards, that's sort of a,
Can you run as credit?
sometimes. Some of you
Because
can.
Only at the gas station I can.
So that's sort of a bad thing. My wife likes it because if you run it as credit, then they don't charge you a bank fee.
I don't
But
get
if-
charged a bank fee.
I bet you do. You just
What
don't
bank
know
do
it.
you go to?
Chase.
Oh, you
I
have a
don't
bank.
charge the fee.
I used to.
Huh?
I don't get charged fee. I have a student savings account, I don't charge fees.
Oh, is that, yeah, for something like
I have a
that.
college account and they don't charge me.
Maybe that's what it is.
For grade.
But for like me, if I run it, if I was to go in and use my ATM card in Walmart, then my bank charges me a fee for running it through Walmart if I run it like a bank card. If I run it as a credit card, then I don't get charged that fee.
The only fee I get charged is if I try to withdraw money from an ATM that's not from US Bank.
Yeah.
And then
That's how mine is.
and that's the ATM fee then.
Yeah, ATM fee, yeah.
So that's the people who own that ATM are charging you that fee.
It's on the bank.
That's why I'm.
No, it's not the bank.
Money out at Chase.
Now, some bank accounts still, because if you go to an ATM and you draw out money and they charge you $2, and then that transaction gets sent back to your bank, you might still get charged another fee. Yeah. Just ask me tomorrow and I'll get it to you, right? Your bank will charge you a fee also. So you might look at that, because sometimes you pay the ATM fee, you may also get charged a fee by your bank. It's not a whole lot, but after a while it adds up.
Right.
So,
I never used our actual bank. Actually, I got charged a fee for checking my balance at ATM at Chase Bank or US Bank.
So I know with my wife, with our US Bank card, she threw a, you too, hope you feel better. She threw a fit because we have our home loan through US Bank, our mortgage, and we have all our banking accounts through them, our checking account and other loans, our car loans through them. And so that should make us a gold member. Well, if you're a gold member for their bank, you don't have to pay all those fees. If you're not a gold member, then you have to pay certain fees. And we were paying all these fees for a long time, and she said, but we have all this stuff through you. Why do we still have to pay all these fees? I mean, because we were paying stupid fees, like an electronic fee for them to take out our mortgage of our bank account. And she goes, why are we paying you an electronic fee when the money's right there
When it's your own money.
with you? It's
Yeah, your own money.
it's already with you. We're direct depositing it to you.
Just for moving it? Like
Just-
for moving
right,
it. Like
just
it's that,
for
like
moving
it's
it.
that hard, really, you know what I mean?
Right. And so she threw a fit, and the teller goes, oh, you have all those things to us? Well, then you're one of our gold members, aren't you? And my wife says, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. And they figured out that they were charging us a bunch of fees that they shouldn't have been
Charge
charging
my
us.
bag, probably not.
No, heck no, they ain't paying you nothing.
They don't have to.
You ain't, if you didn't figure it out, you ain't getting nothing. They're not gonna pay you, oh yeah, we charged you an extra $50 over the last year, and that's gone.
It's just like if someone gave you change, like they gave you extra $10, I wouldn't say nothing.
Our phone company charges us a $20 fee. It's called the phone upgrade fee. When we change phones, you have to pay $20 just to, even though you can take your card and just put it in the new phone. They charge you $20 just to change phones.
Yeah.
And you have to buy the phone straight up.
If you look at, and I'll when we get into it a little bit, I think later chapters, we'll get into some of the different bills and stuff, like your cable bill or your dish bill or your phone bills and all that stuff. You really got to look at these things, because there's been several times over the years I've called one of the companies and I've taken my bill and I said, okay, I have my bill here laying in front of me. You're going to explain to me what each of these charges are. And they have trouble doing it, explaining to you, because there's this fee, that fee. There's a couple of commercials out right now that talk about different fees. I don't know if you guys have seen those commercials, but they talk about different fees, and they're making fun of how many different kinds of fees there are. And one of them says there's a fee for the normal fee or something. There's the normal fee or something like that, just something stupid. And that's the way they are. And
Anything they can make up, they're gonna do it. Anyone-
I think on my phone bill, one of them was, there's a line charge. And, this is for my actual home phone, so, which this has been probably 10 years ago. And I said, all right, what's this line charge fee? And they said, oh, that's the fee for you using the telephone lines outside your house there. So the telephone lines that run along, or used to, it's not near as many of them now, but the telephone lines that run along the roads on the telephone poles, they were charging us a fee for using those lines.
When you have nothing to do with those.
And that's what I said. I said, you guys put those lines up, do you not want us to use your lines to go through your company? Oh, well, yeah, but we still gotta charge you for using those lines. No, you're charging me, that's what the phone is.
It should be part of the phone. What do you do?
And that's when we finally said, okay, that makes sense. So we disconnected our landline and said, all right, we're done with you then. We're not gonna, that's just a stupid charge.
It's like DirecTV too.
They do it
We
once.
canceled them a little while ago. They'll just keep on trying to find something. They keep randomly calling us back, keep trying to convince us to come back. And we're like, well, it's not trying to come back.
Their bill, see, that's, I don't remember if we have Dish or DirecTV, one or the other. We switch every couple of years because it just gets so ridiculous. We start off and it's like $75 a month, and now our bill's up to like $140 a month. And we haven't added anything.
Yeah, it's hard.
It just somehow, they keep adding on these little taxes or fees, and it keeps going up, and I call them all the time and I say, hey, our bills start off at $75 a year and a half ago, and now we're up to $140. Oh, well, what all packages did you add, sir? I said, I haven't added anything.
You guys added them for me.
I said, you guys are doing something. Well, let's go through your bill. I said, yeah, let's. And, there'd be like a $20 fee on there. And I'm like, hold on now, I'm looking at my original bill and I'm looking at this bill. That $20 fee wasn't there. Oh, that's a new state federal tax that we have to apply to this to take care of this. They give you some big talk about something that means absolutely nothing. And I said, well, why do I have to pay that? That should be you guys paying that, not me. That's the government. Well, yeah, but we have to charge it out to our customers, and that's usually that ends up with me telling them, you know what, cancel it. I'm gonna go over to the other one, and I'll talk to you guys in a couple of years when my 2 years is up.
They don't like that.
Huh? No, they don't like that at all.
No, whenever I got money found, the guy could not give me a good explanation of why they had to charge me an extra $20 just to get a new phone. I was already paying almost $200 for it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. All right, this is your formula here. Total deposit equals currency plus coins plus checks minus cash receipt. These are deposit slips for an account that I have through LCNB down at Eaton. All right, so feel free if you want to try to deposit some money into my account, go right ahead. I'm more than happy to
Go tell your account.
allow you to do that. I'll give you the account number so you can put some deposit. You can't. They won't let you withdraw.
Does it have a
It's not,
drive-through?
it's not that count. It's not that kind of account. So these are deposit slips. Different banks might have different deposit slips. I know these are sort of hard to read. Over here, let me do this. If I did this down Miss Tinsman's room, she'd throw a fit. Can't tape anything to her board. She yelled at me one day when I tried to tape something to her board.
Griffin, whenever people used to like write on his board like this,
If we're looking at this column right here, that's where you put everything. So it says this, it's got checks written up and down here. And usually if you go into a bank now and you say, hey, I want to deposit this, the tellers will just do it for you and be done with it instead of having you do it. This box here though, so that you understand how to do it, because you should know how to do it. Shouldn't be the teller's responsibility to do everything for you. But most of them now, they will just do it for you. It looks like this. Usually if I'm depositing something into this account, this is a school account, I write down stuff like over here for checks, I put check number 258. Maybe somebody gave me a check that I need to deposit in this account, and then maybe another check number 7,230. You know, the checks are numbered a lot different. Over here on this, it's got all these different places for you to put stuff. This top one up here is how much cash you're actually putting in. So maybe I have $100 worth of cash that I'm going to deposit, so it looks something like that. You just write 100 in that line, and then your checks are these other ones down through here. So maybe this check was for $712. This next check, usually my checks are all the same because it's the people paying their dues. So this one might have been $712. You got a subtotal line. Well, you total up all that stuff. Mine's going to total up to $924. And this is, on this line, you put how much cash you want. Usually on mine, for this account, the cash is 0 because I don't take cash back out of this. It's an account that I have to have for the school here, and if I start taking cash out, they get a little suspicious of what I'm doing with cash, because it's not something that I'm supposed to be spending just for myself. So usually I don't take cash out. Then this bottom is your total. You would subtract off that cash if you did take any cash, otherwise you just write that down. You got your account number there. There's a little box over here that says total number of items. So my total items would be 3. I got 2 checks and the cash. You put that in there. Again, a lot of them now aren't this in detail. These here, sort of an older style. But then you hand that to the teller along with the stuff. They look at it and then they can run it through fairly quickly. If you look on the back side, the back side is just for you it's to help you. It like separates things into ones, tens, fives, so you can sort of add your totals up a little quicker. All right, so if you got 151s, $75 worth of quarters.
They even have $2 bills following.
Yeah. So that would help you add everything up. You don't hardly even see any $2 bills anymore. I think a couple years ago they finally decided, hey, we're done with them. So now if you see them, they're probably the older ones that shouldn't be out in circulation. Again, when I worked at the convenience store, I seen $2 bills all the time because I'd look at it and I'd go, yeah, I knew what a $2 bill was, but
Still always weird when it comes up.
think, all right, and you have one person come in, they'd have like 30 of them because they dug into grandma's jewelry box where she had all these $2 bill stuff, because everybody thought, back in 1970 something, 76, I think, when I first seen them, when they made a big deal out of putting them out. So everybody put them back in there because they were only going to produce them for that 1 year and then be done with them, and that's not the way it worked. So a lot of people saved them. Well, then you got grandma who's got in her jewelry box a stack of $2 bills.
And left it cold somewhere.
Right. And
My grandpa laminated all his
did it? See?
Yeah.
So you got stuff like that, and when you see somebody come in with like 20 of them or 30 of them, always say something to them like, "Did you rob your grandma this morning or something?" Because I know that, they'd usually say something.
I'd always get the half dollars and like the gold dollar coins. My grandpa would always bring caps on home, get up on the fridge. There's a snack and a drink.
So a lot of them, I know my wife's father, he collected a bunch of that stuff. Oh, they're, like I said, 1976, you guys weren't around, but 1976, they put out the $2 bills. And they put out $2 bills before that, but they then went out of circulation and quit doing it. And so they put them out again, and it was like a big deal. And we're only gonna put these out this 1 year just for the bicentennial, and then we're done with them. And so everybody tried to collect them. Well, then they start producing them just about every year. Now they're gone for good. But on the back here, you got spots for your checks, spots for your cash, just so you can add it up. This is just for you to do the work on. That's all that is. But that's a deposit slip. Again, you may never ever have to use a deposit slip in your life. My wife now, I think the U.S. Bank ATMs, instead of even have to get one of their envelopes, you can now just, if you get a check, you can just stick the check in there and it reads the check and deposits it directly.
That's how I do it.
So a lot of them are going to that. Now they don't even, because she used to get mad because you'd always have to have an envelope and write it on there how much the check was and deposit it and everything. And now you don't even have to do that anymore. And you see a lot of this stuff on TV where, people taking a picture with their phone and send it to their bank, and you got all that stuff. So deposit slips are pretty much going away. You still have to have an envelope for it. So, yeah. So she would get mad because we'd go to an ATM, and about 3/4 of the time, the ATM, you lift up that little slot where it says envelope, there's nothing in there because nobody ever fills them. So she'd get mad because then we couldn't deposit the check, and then we couldn't get out any money for whatever we were doing.
Why don't you just keep some small envelopes in your car?
I don't know if just a regular envelope will work.
Or a small one.
Well, I mean,
Or a sandwich bag or something.
it'll fit in there, but
Anyway, let's check.
you got to write certain stuff on it because the envelopes that they have
Oh, yeah.
how much money, check number what, and what account are you depositing into, and so it has all that information on it. So if you just stuck you're checking a regular envelope and stuck it in there, it may happen that first teller that's emptying out that little deposit box there might look at it and go,
Right.
that's your assignment, page 180. To report all this stuff, it makes it sound like that everybody in the world's some kind of thief, and I trust absolutely nobody, which that is sort of true. I don't trust anybody, but
This is long.
it's just long compared to what we've been doing. We've had like 10 problems, 11 problems. This one here is, what is that, 15, about 21. Still bet you could get a lot of it done here.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't
Hey, you're not the
know
only
that.
one. Today in CBI, Ferguson only gave us like one paper to do, so it only took